You know, it's interesting because when Johnny joined New Edition for the Heartbreak album, I didn't warm to Johnny. I thought he was stealing Ralph's position. He was like, "Who's this guy?" You know, I just thought that why is he standing in front and he was singing a lot of the leads, and I didn't really warm to him because I just thought Ralph's the guy and stuff. So I can imagine because Tony, what made Tony so special? Because you've said because as I said, we've all admired his charisma and his voice, but from seeing him up close, what did you think made him so special?
And I just, I mean, you had to see him sing in person. Like that was one thing that I mean, just I remember attending two of the talent shows that they were competing in, right? And this is a true story. My uncle and them, they were really talented, nice vocalists. They wrote their songs and all, but when they competed against Tony, it was just a different competition. So the second time that Tony beat them, oh, they were pretty upset about it. And so we got home after that performance, and they were kind of having a discussion. And so I told the guy, he's like, well, what do you think? And I said, hey man, you guys did great. I said, you guys did good. Tony did. He was great. Like, I just had to be honest with them. And, they kind of looked at me like, but I was giving them, my honest God truth. So the thing was just to see Tony perform at, 14, 15 and be able to, do what he did live. It was just an honor to be able to witness it. And I always admired him before we were successful. He was just a great vocalist. And, anytime, even prior to us, recording, if we could, hey, Tony, just sing for us, and I just loved it. We would always get him to sing. Yeah. So he had a spark about him, and he knew his vocal. Mm-hmm.
Wow. So now you're in the studio with Teddy doing Just Can't Handle It. I mean, what was it like working? I know there was Dave West and Bernard Bell who normally work with him, but what was it like being in the studio? Did you, in a different level, working with him?
Well, the best way I could explain it is we were so inexperienced. We were just like, hey, whatever you say, and for the most part, Tony would go in and they were so, pleased with his vocal ability that, I think anything we did behind that was kind of like just a filler. But it was a great experience, just to be in their presence and to see how they, produce and work music. So my memories are really vague because I was probably more starstruck, just in their presence. And just really happy that, that he would even accept working on our project. Yeah.
So when Just Can't Handle It comes out, were you surprised how successful it became a hit on the radio?
That's a retrospective question because obviously I was, but then when you think about it, like that was, that was Teddy. Like he poured his heart into it. The New Jack Swing era was really new, fresh, and that track was amazing. And the crazy part is, we always thought Just Can't Handle It was better than Kissing Game. Just as an overall song because the way the intro came in and shows Tony doing the vocal. Oh my God, my words are just clouding. Like how he acapella, he did the vocal acapella, so that was like, wow, wow, wow. And Kissing Game to us, was a good song, but we never thought, wow, this will be bigger than Just Can't Handle It. And, obviously being our first single and we really enjoyed the song, I think that, we figured that would be the biggest one. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's funny because as I said, so it coming out in 1990, I was still going to high school in Nigeria, and I remember Just Can't Handle It being very big out there because it reminded us of Him and Me from today, but it was different. So it didn't sound like a copycat stuff, but it was really, really a powerful track, and it was really that 1990 albums were really powerful. I think Kissing Game was very similar to like, when Fresh Prince came out with Summertime. It was one of those feel good songs, and it had a different vibe. Shanice's I Like Your Smile. It felt like one of those songs that could cross over much easier than Just Can't Handle It. But I can imagine at the time you're recording, you're not thinking about it. But as fans, coming out in that time, did it shock you how much that getting to number one on the Billboard charts? I mean, did that shock you?
Oh, that was a shock, man. I mean, and so by then, Kissing Game, it seemed, I mean, our lives had changed by then. We were constantly on the road, promoting, touring, performing, and it happened so fast, that I just, it's like, wow, this is the life. But I mean, Kissing Game took us to places we never thought, to be honest.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, before we talk a little bit more about the success of that, how was being on the road and the performing? How did you, coming from a small town, adapt to being on stage in front of people shouting and screaming?
Initially there was all, we all had stage fright, but I think I just, I remember like our very first performance in Waco, Texas. It was at the
A homecoming kind of thing.
well, it was the fair, the local fair here. It's called the Heart of Texas Fair. So first performance, and the crazy part was our manager had gotten us a live band that we never rehearsed with.
Oh goodness.
And so yeah, it was an interesting performance. But the good thing was we were scheduled for two performances that night. I think one was at like a 7, and then one was like a 9 or 10. And so the way it happened, the local high school, the football stadium was right next to the fairground. So most people would go to the football game and then come to the fair afterwards.
Yeah.
So their thinking was, we would do a second performance so that the people who left the football game could still have an opportunity. So the first performance we did with the live band didn't go very well.
Wow.
So we told the manager, hey, we don't want the band on the second set. We would rather do tracks because we were just kind of more comfortable with performing with, the tracks. And it went great. It went really great. Like the crowd accepted us and they appreciated it, and we felt like we could do this.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What was your parents' reaction when you're coming out with Just Can't Handle It and Kissing Game, the success? How did they react?
Well, obviously now they're proud. Things are working in our favor. So yes, they were really supportive, and you have to love parents because we were minors. They had to be involved in every decision. So that was a whole nother aspect. Thinking about 5 minors, 5 parents every time something happens, and it was definitely costly on our budget because you have to move 10 people every time.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
so,
okay.
yeah.
Go
a
ahead.
lot of people don't think about it. So I mean, eventually we kind of got to a point where, hey, once we were able to have a chaperone, someone who knew us all and could just kind of represent one parent in their best interest. And we did that for a while. And then once one member turned 18, we considered him the chaperone.
Okay. Now, did somebody explain to you that as this is coming out of the cost of this, out in no.
Well, they said it, but it doesn't. You don't receive it properly until you get your first statement saying, "Hey, how much you spent?" What So, I mean, but it's you have to abide by the law. You cannot work with minors without supervision.
Yeah.
So we had to go through surrogate court and all of that, being minors.
Wow.
And yeah, that was something else that was really new to us. Never knew anything about it. So, I mean, I think it worked out in our favor. But obviously, with the success and everything we had going, we wanted our freedom. So once one member turned 18, it really was a good thing for us.
How did it change you then? Because the success from growing up in a small town and very close to your family. Now you're number one artist in the country. I mean, that's not easy. How did it change you personally?
I don't know. People still tell me to this day, right? Like, especially my close friends, and you're really humble, you kind of stay grounded. And I felt like I did. And the one thing about me is, when we would get off the road, come home to my family, I would always ask them, hey, don't treat me like that guy, treat me as the person that y'all know and raised. And it really benefited me in the long run, because even after a while, I just would ask, hey, let's not discuss what happens on the road. Not anything negative, but I just want to be normal, when I'm around y'all. I don't want to feel like it's always about, high-fiving the music and things of that nature. So, my friends kind of adapted to the way I wanted to be treated, and it helped me stay grounded, So, and don't get me wrong, I will say this. Now, there were times when, I had to adjust my ego and, hey, I'm Mac from High Five. Don't do that. So, but for the most part, though, I think I balanced it pretty well. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So Kissing Game, number one song in the country. What does that do for you guys?
Oh, man. I'll say this, man. It was, I don't even know if there's a word for it, but I tell you what, the attention we got, everybody wants a piece of it, at that moment. So one thing we were comfortable with is we stayed working. We were on the road, we promoted, we toured, and that's how we knew just how to stay busy, making money was what we were doing at that time. So, we went to Japan, they went to Africa, we were all over promoting Kissing Game.
Wow.
Uh-huh. So that was just the greatest feeling, and to hit number one and not really expect it or realize it. Still to this day, I look at my gold records and it's like, wow, number one in the country. Everybody knows this song.
Yeah.
For that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. A lot of people didn't realize Teddy did it as well, because he was more used to the just can't handle it was more stuff. So a lot of people were like, wow, we didn't know he did that. So Jive's, it's strange because you had the big album, does well, goes platinum, and then it's almost as if they try to get you back in right away. Who's competing with you guys on the charts? I know we can look at the charts, but when you looked around, who do you think, okay, we're now competing with this particular types of groups for the same type of audience?
I think one group that comes to mind was obviously Boys to Men. Yeah, they had came in and they really, really had some great songs. So, I think we met them and they were really down there as guys, but I think we kind of always had this underlying unspoken competition, right?
Okay.
And, they did go on to be a really, really great, artist for sure. So I think Boys to Men was one. And, there were several, that would come around. Like we toured. When we first toured, we toured with Troop, we toured with Tony.
Riff?
Riff was around. We didn't really cross paths with him as much at the time, but like I said, I think Troop was like really one of our big influences as well as competition. But so Boys to Men was definitely one of the groups I recall being, competition at that time.
Thanks for watching. Please remember to subscribe to the channel, but most importantly to press the notification bell so that you can be notified when we do have a new interview. Loads to come, but thanks a lot for watching.